convention has changed drastically in the past 12 hours as we learn more about the assassination attempt of the soon-to-be Republican nominee. One of this week's speakers, South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace, is with us before she makes her way here to Wisconsin and Milwaukee. Appreciate you joining us, ma'am. Thank you. Big picture here. How does the tone of this convention now change?
Well, I think it has to change. Right now, many of us are angry. We're reeling from the shocking events last night. First of all, I want to say that my heart and the pain I'm feeling today is with the family of the victim who was lost yesterday at the rally. No one should be shot and killed for their political beliefs. No one should be shot and killed because they support Donald Trump for president. And quite frankly, I am sick and tired of the rhetoric. I am a member that receives threats almost every day. I'm tired of the memes by the left saying I should be raped or deserve to be raped when I had the George Stephanopoulos interview. This stuff has to stop, and it starts with Joe Biden, who just weeks ago said that Trump should be in the bullseye. And he's the same guy they've been calling Trump Hitler for years now, using violent rhetoric, encouraging violence, and somebody took them up on their offer. And it was a tragic day for America, but I agree with you. The tone of the convention should change. We should have a unifying tone. I think that'll happen naturally, that we'll have a unifying message, not just for the Republican Party, but for a nation who's going to be hurting and need time to heal in the weeks and months to come.
Now, I understand the anger, and I've certainly heard it from almost every single Republican I've spoken to, elected and unelected. And Republicans have felt embattled. Chris made this point in our first block over the past 4 years after the events of January 6th. Does this not present an opportunity, though, to not engage in the whataboutism and to look forward? And if so, how do you do that?
This is not a whataboutism. This is real. Leland, my house has been vandalized 3 times in 3 years. My car has been vandalized 2 times in the last 3 years. My kids and I receive threats almost daily. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to close my offices everywhere to give my staff time to work from home and to feel like when they go to work, they're not going to be persecuted or attacked or threatened or assaulted just because they work for a Republican who supports Donald Trump. And so I think it's okay to be angry right now. But at some point during this week, during the convention, we need to show the American people that we're going to bring everybody together. And in fact, I was out last night when this whole thing went down, and I was in public. I was on the street. People were literally pulling their cars over. Democrats, Republicans, independents, reeling in shock from what happened last night and saying they support Donald Trump. They support the Republican Party. What can they do to support a nation that's hurting and push back against the rhetoric? And, you know, the left has been talking for years about, quote, the attack on democracy. What we saw last night was an attack, literally an attack on democracy. Blood everywhere, victims, a presidential nominee who was shot in the ear. It is disgusting. We need to condemn it at all costs, but also show leadership. And Trump showed leadership last night. He showed courage, he showed strength, and he showed leadership on the world stage last night. And that is the man who can lead our country out of this crisis.
Yeah, I'm struck always by watching the video and over, and you notice something different every time. But initially when I saw it, I was struck by his presence of mind. He went down as the Secret Service trains their protectees to do. And then as they were ready, and you can hear the Secret Service talking in this moment, as they were about to move him off the stage, he said, wait, 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 and put his fist in the air and realized, I think, in that moment, what the world was going to see and watch from him. And you can see it there when he's saying, fight, 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 and the crowd goes wild. We've seen a different Donald Trump over the past couple of weeks, and you and I have talked about this. He's more disciplined. He's not as bombastic. After the debate, he held back and did what politicians oftentimes should but don't do, which is let their enemies or their political rivals flounder when they're floundering rather than get in the way. We haven't heard Donald Trump speak in the past 12 or 14 hours. This is a new and more disciplined Donald Trump. How does that translate this coming week and then into the campaign?
Well, he's he's very presidential right now, and it makes me proud to be an American to see him throw his fist in the air and say that last night and see the reaction of the crowd.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.